YouTube? This is your boy Alex, where I decided to do 6 episodes of the wrestling series. So bear with me. The series is almost over. We're like 4 episodes in. And once we get to 6, that will be the final category. You always save the best of the best for last. This one's another very interesting video in the category of professional wrestling. For those who like sports, who like wrestling, this video is for both, for men and for women, young and old, black or white. Anybody can watch this video. This video is not just for people who like sports and professional wrestling. This is for anyone that just wants to watch good videos. Don't worry, when everything returns back to normalcy, I'll get a brand new cell phone, a new cell phone camera with the best camera quality. Right now, my quality of the cell phone's kind of acting a little strange. The quality of the color changed last night because the internet was acting real funny. I'm not trying to make no excuses as a filmmaker or as a YouTube content creator. It's not an excuse. Sometimes you have to explain your explanation because people are going to want an answer. This one's going to be called Sex Game, the top 10 black world champions in wrestling. The reason why this title of this video is getting made is because if we're talking about wrestling, there are African Americans that were in the sport of professional wrestling. We got some in basketball, football, and baseball. And this series would not be completed if I didn't talk about my top 10 favorite African American athletes in professional wrestling. Most people, they mention them in the video, but we don't talk about their great accomplishments. And I am black. Doesn't matter if you argue if I'm light, dark, or mixed, black. And some people are going to want me to make a video acknowledging these people exist. Like, these guys may not get the respect and the credit they deserve, but I'm going to give them the respect. I'm going to give them the credit that they rightfully deserve. So these are my top 10 favorites. There are much more than 10, but I don't want to make the video drawn out. I don't want to make a long, terrible, lengthy video. Then you guys be like, why is this video 35, 45, 50 minutes? Because y'all got bills, y'all got to pay, you got clothes, you got to wash. People want to get back to work, go back to school. And the last thing you want is me tying up all your time when you got something far better important to do. So it's morning, and the quicker I do the video, the faster I get to the next topic. And some of y'all want the NBA to return, and that's what y'all would rather see, which is understandable. I can't wait for the NBA to return. But this series would not be completed if I didn't add this into the category. The last thing I want is for someone to get me in the comment section and say, hey man, these guys won championships too, so why get to it before someone get on my case? Because someone always watch my videos and they always bring out the mistakes I make, the stuff I should have took out in videos. They watch. And they will call me behind the scenes and say, hey man, you should have put this in the video. So people watch my videos. It's not a secret. It's well documented. All right, coming in at number 10 is Charles Wright, a.k.a. The Godfather. Now, before he was called The Godfather, he was Papa Shango. He came in the late 80s, early 1990s. He was on the professional circuit, and he wrestled under a bunch of characters, under different names. But Papa Shango was a character that deal with, black magic, and there were similarities to his character to Marvel's Black Panther. If you read the comic books in the 80s and the 90s, he was into the witchcraft and the black magic, and he had paint on his face, and he would put spells on professional wrestlers backstage so he can win his wrestling matches. And he got to wrestle the Ultimate Warrior, like in 3 wrestling matches, he would wrestle the Ultimate Warrior. That was like the beginning of his wrestling career. And then further into the 1990s, he lost that character. He became a part of the Nation of Domination, which was a very good high point in his career. He was like 26 at that point in his prime. And then he became the Godfather. He had the pimp suit. He came out with the fine-ass women. And nobody think he would do that. And he had some good matches. And then he started doing boxing, which we didn't even know that he could do boxing. Like, we had no idea that he could box. And they did a documentary like less than 3 months ago called The Brawl for All, which nobody wants to talk about. That's when they were trying to let professional wrestlers do boxing, and he won some fights, but that's also how his career got tarnished. because he suffered an injury and it had affected him moving forward, and then his wrestling ability was limited. Now, he did go on to win the Intercontinental title twice, the tag titles. You know, he participated in the Royal Rumble, and he did wrestle for about 12 and a half years. And then he became a mentor to the next generation. And he was very good. He was very good entertaining. Every now and then he'll pop up at a WrestleMania. He was good. People liked his character. And every now and then he'll talk about, his experiences in the WWE. He did find himself in Japan, Canada, TNA, and try to resurrect his career. But you can't make a list without the Godfather. Coming in at number 9 is R-Truth. Now, a lot of people don't realize R-Truth had big aspirations for one to be a rap artist, okay? Late 80s, early 90s, he wanted to be the next big rapper in the rap industry. His influences were LL Cool J, Tupac, Notorious B.I.G. Like, he had put out a Studios album, and he was signed under a rap label. And all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, he got discovered by Jimsy Cornette and 5 other people, and they saw that he had this explosive athleticism. He did try out for WCW. He got cut 3 times. Then in the late 90s, he found himself in WWE in 1998-99 when they had the Monday Night Wars, Monday Night Raw versus WCW on primetime television. And he was a part of DX. At this point, Shawn Michaels had retired. Triple H broke away from the group and was in the singles competition. And Road Dogg Jesse James and Six Pack, and he was called X-Pac first, and Billy Gunn, and they added another member, and he was the member that they added into the group, which that had never been done before. And he did manage to stay with the company for about 3 years, and then around 2001, 2002, he ended up in TNA wrestling for like 10 years. He did become the NWA and TNA heavyweight champion like 3 times. So he won the championship 3 times. 3 belts. The TNA title 3 times, AWA title 3 times. He became a 6-time tag team champion. And when he was there for 10 years, he got to wrestle guys like Sting. He got to wrestle AJ Styles before he took off to the WWE. A lot of people don't realize that he won a lot of championships. He had a lot of great high-profile matchups, and he also could wrestle. He could dance, he could rap, he could sing, he could talk on the mic. He had a lot of charisma. He had that it factor. And this guy was like in his 30s. This guy was like 34, 35. And he stayed in that long of great athletic shape. Then when he got signed to WWE, he took that same act to the WWE and broke out with his rap song, which showed before John Cena did it, he did it. But nobody gave him the respect and the credit he deserved. He came into WWE and he took the wrestling thing and made it into a rap song. Like, this guy was rapping so hard on the mic. Why is it kept close? He's like the last true, realest rapper. He just in wrestling. And when he got into WWE, he won the Intercontinental title. He won the Hardcore title, the 24 title, tag titles. He would be with Miz. He would wrestle the tag teams, New Day. He was there. And he got to compete. When they paired him up with Jeff Hardy, it was a good combination because it brought the best out in his competitive nature. You saw, no matter who you put him in the ring with, John Cena, Triple H, he was going to thrive off that competition and make him look good. Now, he did get one shot at the world title. He lost. Unfortunately, it was disappointing to see somebody of that magnitude. But you always wondered what could have happened with his ability. You always wondered what could have happened. And now when you think about it, I'm going to have to tie him up with MVP. Why I'm going to tie him up with MVP? It's because MVP was one of my favorites. I know everyone made fun of him because he had the purple jumpsuit and they called him the Black Power Ranger and all that nonsense. But he had a tattoo of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson on him because he was from the same place, Florida. And Montelis Porter did play basketball, football, and track in high school and college. But his passion was wrestling, entertainment. And when he came in, It was like they took the idea of Jim Jones, the rapper, balling, and they just made that his character where he was like, I'm MVP because I'm better than you. He did win the Intercontinental title, the United States title, the tag titles, and he did have a shot at the championship belt. And to me, R-Truth and MVP are guys that are so talented, for reasons explained or not explained, they never got the push to be champion. They ended up becoming, hold on, I apologize for that. You know, you get these trucks that pass through in the area, and sometimes you might hear the sound of a truck. You know, for reasons not explained or not explained, they won every other title, but even when MVP made his act to TNA Wrestling, he became a three-time world champion and three-time tag team champion. So outside of WWE, both these guys became bigger stars. In WWE, they were just okay mid-carders. It is disappointing to see both of them get pushed back to the back of the card and forced to become jobbers. But in their primes, they had potential to make it big and win the big one. All right, coming in at number 8 is Big T, or call him Ahmed Johnson. Now, in the mid of the 1990s, we had never had nobody like Ahmed Johnson. He was 6'4", 6'5", 250 to 260 pounds, big muscular build. Guy came in serious as a heart attack and immediately got pushed to the top of the WWE chain. I mean, he had became a three-time Intercontinental Champion, three-time Tag Team Champion. The guy became number one contender for the WWE Championship. And he was either going to face Shawn Michaels or Psycho Sid or Bret Hart. One of those three he was going to face for the championship. And he was also a technical specialist, a tag team specialist. And he only stayed with them from 1995 to like 98 because you know, he got injured twice, and then, you know, there were some problems outside the company, personal problems, and then there was substance abuse, and he had so much promise, so much potential that they got behind him. They saw Hulk Hogan in this guy. They saw Ultimate Warrior, but his career fell apart just like Lex Luger. Lex Luger had a tour bus. He had a tour bus. Lex Luger would flex his muscles. Ahmed Johnson flexed his muscles. It was like they were trying to create another Lex Luger, and it failed. And obviously, when he found himself in WCW, he gained much more weight. He got fat, and he was called Big T. They tried to pair him up with Harlem Heats, where he won the tag titles 3 times, and he only stayed with the company for like 3 years. Then they tried to put him in the NWO. They tried everything they could to resurrect his career. They even had him have matches with Goldberg and Scott Steiner to try to resurrect that career. Then he started doing New Pro Japan wrestling. And then he retired after that. So it's unfortunate because people always say he was there before Bobby Lashley arrived. Like, and if it had not been for Ahmed Johnson, you probably would have never gotten a Bobby Lashley. But his career fell short because they were trying to make him become something that he wasn't. Had they just kept him the way he was from the before, his career could have gone far. He could have, by this point, been a 3-time world champion. It never happened. All right, coming in at number 7 is Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray is the much older brother of Booker T. He was his brother in television, and some say he's actually the brother of Booker T in real life. Now, he got an earlier head start in professional wrestling than Booker T did because he wrestled in the late 80s, early 1990s. And when they tagged him up, they called a group called Harlem Heats, which at that time was like the second or third African-American tag team in professional wrestling. And they went off to make history. They became that team that won the tag titles 10 times. So he's a 10-time tag team champion. He won the United States title, television title 4 times, and he did compete in 7 championship matches, and he did become world champion in Japan, Canada, Mexico, but he never really got that opportunity like Booker did. Like, right in the prime of his career, he suffered an injury that kind of ended his wrestling career. You know, he had to hurt back twice. Then he tore his Achilles tendons, herniated disc, and he ended up just becoming a guy that worked behind the scenes to mentor guys of the next generation to get them ready for primetime television. So he would be backstage giving Booker T the mentorship because he did compete for championships and he could have won a title, but his injuries, they just won't allow. Like this is like maybe 5 to 8 years in his career, and then he was sidelined by an injury. So there's always that what if, like if Booker won the titles, how come he didn't win it? It's because his injuries would just not allow him to heal. And he did make a brief comeback in wrestling. They would have a story where he was in the part of the NWO and he was trying to resurrect his wrestling career, and again played by injuries. So you could see how he never got the same level as Booker T. Number 6 is Bobby Lashley. Now, Bobby Lashley is rated higher because Bobby Lashley, unlike the rest of them, he was able to break through. He came in 2005. He was a breakout superstar the minute he arrived in WWE. He kicked ass. He took names. He was 6'4", 250 pounds, and he had already had prior experience because he did wrestling in high school, college, and the military. And it wasn't just storyline, he was for real. And he had history because he had already met Kurt Angle 4 or 5 times. And a lot of people don't realize he kind of was there in 96 when Kurt Angle had broke his neck and won a gold medal in the 1996 Olympic Games because he was also, inspired by that. And it wouldn't be till like 2000 that he would compete in the Olympics just like Kurt Angle did. And he didn't exactly get a gold medal. He got like a bronze, but he did get one. And he did went through the same process as Kurt Angle to get to the WWE. And ultimately, it led to him getting the contract. Now, he did become a 2-time United States champion, 2-time Intercontinental champion. He did win the ECW world title, and he got injured. And just like Ahmed Johnson, he got released. He found himself wrestling for TNA, where he managed to become a 2-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, 2-time Tag Team Champion, and then he decided to do mixed martial arts. And to me, he had better success doing mixed martial arts than he did with professional wrestling. He would eventually return back to TNA, where he would win more championships, have more matches, and then we finally saw him back in the WWE. And a lot of people were upset because he had just had a championship match at Backlash, and he lost that match. And some people feel like at his age, 38, 40, 40 years old, is he ever going to ever be on the same level as Batista and all the other guys? Now, to me, I still think he might get one more opportunity. If he becomes champion, he just might be a 1-time or 2-time world champion. So I still think he has the charisma and the it factor to be champion. If he just wins 1 championship or 2 championships, that's all he needs to complete his resume. A lot of people are looking at this as the wrong way. He still has it to win the title. It's just the same thing that happened to Mark Henry that's probably going to happen to Bobby Lashley. And I'm not saying that's good. What I'm saying is we're not in Bobby Lashley's shoes to understand what goes on behind the scenes and into the ring. When you start getting personal with an athlete and why he don't win the big one, you start to mess with layers that we don't understand. He's an athlete, and he will get that opportunity to win the title. Most of the people that you expect to win championships never do, and the ones you say will never win a championship, they win one. So I think he might get 1 title shot. He might win the title. It still can happen. He's got MVP in his corner, so it still can actually happen. And if he don't win the championship, then at least he won the title in TNA. And then there's his mixed martial arts career where he still probably could go to somewhere like UFC where he could be a legitimate heavyweight champion. So there's that possibility he might win a championship. It just won't be with WWE. Can't take it personal. It happens to a lot of athletes. He got much further than all the other guys that I mentioned on the list. I mean, think about it. He got much further. Coming in at number 5 is Mark Henry, the world's strongest man. Now, Mark Henry is a 2-time world champion. He did win the world heavyweight title. He did win the ECW title, and he is himself a 6-time tag team champion, 3-time hardcore champion. So he's been wrestling for like almost 20 years. He was at the 1996 Olympic Games, Atlanta City. He was there. He saw Kurt Angle with a broken neck. And the guy, it did take him 12 years to win 2 championships, but he did win the championships. And you could see why he doesn't have a problem with people mentioning his career. One of his best highlights, wrestling The Undertaker at WrestleMania. He wrestled The Big Show, The Great Khali, Batista, Triple H. He's wrestled the big names, and he is a big name. And I'm pretty sure when it's all said and done, he's going into the Hall of Fame. So he has accomplishments. He went from being the world's strongest man to becoming a professional wrestler. And the fact that he is one of these interesting guys is because he's Mark Henry. Now he just serves as a mentor on NXT, and every now and then you might see him come out to do a live wrestling show just to show the younger guys what's expected of you in entertainment. Outside of that, he's a nice person. He laughs, he likes good jokes, he enjoys himself. Some people think that when they see him on TV, he's like that for real. And sometimes he might look at you and laugh because the only time he has to be serious is if you actually do something stupid. So we're not saying he won't do something, but don't say nothing stupid or get on his bad side because, he don't like to have to always answer questions that don't make no sense. So you have to understand that. All right, number 4 is Rocky Johnson. God rest his soul, rest in peace. This is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's father. You cannot create a list without mentioning his father. His father did pass away, and he kind of was that guy that people saw in the 1970s and the 80s. He is a tag team specialist, okay? He did win the North American and South American heavyweight championships, so he did become a 3-time world champion outside of WCW and WWE. He's won the tag title like 6 times in his career. He teamed up with The Rock's grandfather, and they basically became legends. They became icons. And he kind of opened the doors for all the other guys on the list to come in and be able to wrestle. Yeah, he experienced discrimination. He saw, what his role was, and he understood that. And he often at times would try to mentor his son and other guys in the business. And basically, he's seen all the other guys come up. WCW is where he got a shot at being world champion. And it might have took 10 years later, but he kind of got that shot and a proper send-off, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. So basically, you have to have him on here because if you didn't, then it's like disrespectful not to include him because it's The Rock's father. And basically, this man opened doors for future generations. And when you look back, where do you think Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson gets that electrifying electricity charisma from? He gets it from his father. You look at the way his father talks on the mic, and you look at how Dwayne Johnson talks on the mic, they're so similar. The way that he talks to the crowd, the way Rock talks to the crowd, they're so similar. There might be differences because Rocky Johnson won championships as a tag team specialist, and The Rock managed to win every title there was, but that would have not been possible if it weren't for the father, Rocky Johnson, breaking the barriers in wrestling. Coming in at number 3 is the son, The Rock, the people's champion, the eyebrow. Nobody saw a professional wrestler that would just give you the eyebrow. Nobody saw a guy that would get on the mic and say, "It doesn't matter what your